'Tis I.
Hey everyone, glad to see you back, glad to see you looking fresh. So today I'm going to do something I've been looking forward to doing for quite a long time, and I'm going to go through my entire Blu-ray and 4K collection. As you see behind me, in every video I have quite a lot of these things, so it's going to be quite a long time going through all of them. So please sit back and enjoy me going through and talking about every single one of these. Just know, if there's a couple of weird gaps, like why do I only own a couple of a certain movie franchise, could be because I don't like the others in that movie franchise, or because I own them on DVD and I just haven't upgraded them yet. I have quite an extensive DVD collection as well that I will make a video on soon, and you'll be able to watch that as well. So, without further ado, and let's just jump right into this thing, shall we? Alright, starting off with the numbers, we start off with Casino Royale, 007 James Bond. I like to keep my James Bonds right up front. Of course, this is the only one I have on Blu-ray right now, so it looks a little silly, but this is my favorite Bond film. I have this nice steelbook of it. Great movie. I love this movie. Daniel Craig's first, so great stuff there. 300. One of Zack Snyder's, if not Zack Snyder's best movie. Absolutely so much fun with this movie. It is a visual feast for the eyes. Just a blast the entire way through. Very graphic, very intense, very manly movie. 42, story on Jackie Robinson. This is a great movie. Rest in peace, our king. But absolutely, this is the movie that put him on the map for me. I saw this movie way back when it first came out. I thought it was great, and unfortunately, his career was cut short, but at least we have stuff like this to finally look back on him for. 47 Meters Down. This is a shark movie, and I love shark movies. I thought this was a pretty good for a shark movie comparison. The movie itself isn't great, but I had a lot of fun with it. 500 Days of Summer, a very pleasant rom-com. Was not exactly a romantic kind of story. It kind of shifts partway through, but this is a lot of fun. It's very cute. It's not really like a date-type rom-com movie, but it's very good. 8 Mile, the film that won Eminem an Oscar. This movie is great. Eminem puts a great performance in it. He's kind of just playing himself, but hey, he does a great job doing that, and I wish to see more of him in film. I'm surprised he hasn't done anything like this again, but this one's great. 1917. Finally won Deakins his Oscar for cinematography. This movie looks phenomenal. This is the 4K steelbook of that. This movie, visual feast. Unbelievably how well this movie looks. It's incredible. Akira. This is a wild movie. This is a movie, I watched this a long while ago, and I was watching it, and my mom came out in the living room and I was watching it, and she thought I was watching a cartoon because she didn't understand the concept of anime. And I was like, well, this is animated, but this isn't for kids. She's like, oh yeah, prove it. And then within 5 minutes, there was a lot of intense stuff that she wasn't a huge fan of. So that was the moment she started believing me that not all animation is for kids. But this movie is absolutely crazy. If you have not watched Akira yet, please do so. Aladdin. Anime movie that is definitely for kids, but everyone can love it as well. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. Absolutely amazing in this. This is my favorites of the animated Disney films. I love this. I can sing the songs. When the remake came out, that was the best part, was singing the songs again. The remake's okay. I don't have it, but because this is all I really need. The Alien Anthology. So all 4 Alien movies before Prometheus. I had Prometheus somewhere in the P section, I assume. So this movie, first Alien, great movie. Aliens, also great. You know, it's a debate, which one is better, which one's worse. Alien 3, not so great. Alien Resurrection, okay, it exists. The first 2 are really all you need here, but having them all here is nice. Yeah, I named my dog after Ellen Ripley in this. My dog's name is Ripley, so yeah, that's how much I like those. Almost Famous. This is the bootleg cut, so it's a little bit longer. They're a little bit longer. The director's cut. This movie is phenomenal. I love this movie. It is such a timepiece of the 70s rock kind of era. It's so good. The music in here is phenomenal. The song that they use on the bus, I will not spoil what song it is. Please watch this movie, and when you hear the song on the bus, you will know it is one of my favorite scenes I have ever seen. American History X. I have not seen this for a while. This movie's intense. This movie's very intense. About some very, very hardcore stuff, and it's a very poignant movie. I don't know. I have been feeling the urge to watch this again. I might watch this soon. It's been a long time, but yes, this movie is very good. American Psycho. Another pretty intense movie, but not nearly on the level of American History X. Christian Bale, I think this is a movie that pretty much shot him into superstardom. Very funny dark comedy, very intense dark comedy. Like, it plays both the dark and the comedy very well. Very quotable stuff. It's a wild time. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man is a fun little caper. Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably my least favorite Marvel movie. It's not very good. I didn't have a lot of fun with it. Ant-Man was supposed to be directed by Edgar Wright, who is my favorite director. So I feel like all the flavor of the first movie was lost in translation from the first to the second. But hey, there's something, you know. They're fun. Their powers are neat. It's just really not for me, I guess. Apocalypse Now. This is probably... Is it the best war movie? I don't know. This movie is crazy how it looks. You can never make a movie like this nowadays. Just the way they shot it and everything. I have not yet seen the final cut. I've only seen the original cut, so I have not had a chance to watch this version yet. But this movie is another classic that if you haven't seen, please go do so. Aquaman. This movie, another visual feast. I love movies that just look like something you've never seen before. Who would have thought a character like Aquaman could make such a crazy blockbuster and just be an absolute blast? But it is. It was one of my favorites of that year. Argo won Ben Affleck Best Director at the Academy Awards. I love Ben Affleck's directing. This movie is super intense. Just not of the simplest caliber, but the situations are way more intense than you think they would be. Obviously, the setting is a very intense setting anyway. But yes, Argo is a very, very intense kind of thriller. Army of Darkness. I don't know why I have this chilling by itself and not with the other Evil Dead movies, but this is the finale to the Evil Dead trilogy. Sam Raimi's just incredibly wild time with this. I think this is the best of the trilogy. People would argue me Evil Dead 2. Another great pick. I love the campiness in this movie. Now, we have Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. So the 4 Avengers films. Avengers, if you didn't know, is my favorite film of all time. This is the film that got me into film back in 2012. I saw it on the big screen, and just, I had never seen anything quite like that, and it opened my eyes to how much fun movies could be. Age of Ultron, I think, has gotten better over the years. I think this is a movie that, with time, people have appreciated more. I think when it came out, it got too much hate. But hey, we got it here now. Infinity War was one of the craziest events to go to. Just the ending of this movie blew people's minds. And Endgame, you know, at one time was the biggest movie of all time for a reason. This was a absolute event. You had to have been there to see this. Nothing like we'd ever seen on the screen before. Just absolute insanity. I love it. I love Endgame. I love all 4 of them. I do still think that Age of Ultron is the weakest, but they're all great. I love them all. Baby Driver, the first of our Edgar Wright films, as I was saying with Ant-Man. Is this one of my, I mean, I love pretty much everything Edgar Wright has done. I don't know if this is my favorite, but this one is the most action-heavy. Some of the stunts in this film are insane. The music also is phenomenal. Phenomenal stuff. Bad Times at the El Royale. This is a kind of an underrated movie. Kind of came and went. Not a lot of hype, not a lot of fanfare. But absolutely seek this movie out if you haven't already. Another one that is a timepiece, and it's kind of a big mystery. We don't know what's going on in this hotel. It's hard to explain, but it's definitely different, and you should definitely check it out. We're getting the Batman, the 66 movie. The first time you see this is like the funniest movie of all time. Because it's so, like, memorable, unfortunately, watching it a second time, you kind of know all the jokes coming up. But maybe in a couple years I'll go back to this and I'll think it's absolutely hilarious. But the first time you see this movie, it is one of the funniest things. Batman Assault on Arkham. This is an animated film set in the Arkham Asylum universe from the games. This movie is great. I've seen this movie quite a few times. It's a lot of fun just hanging out with the Suicide Squad. A lot of different members that we don't see a lot. Even in the two films, something like Killer Frost is in this. She's not in this, the KG Beast. And we don't see those guys in the two live-action films. So, a movie like this, absolutely great. I think this movie is very good, and you should check it out if you haven't already. Don't be afraid of the animated Batman stuff. Because we also have Batman The Dark Knight Returns, based on the very famous graphic novel. This movie is great as well. This is a two-parter, so altogether, this movie is like 2.5 hours long of Batman, and if you haven't read or you haven't seen this, please do so. It's absolutely great as well. Batman Ninja. This movie is bonkers in the wildest way. It has a stupid name. Batman Ninja is a dumb name because Batman's already a ninja. So what's the point? This movie's crazy though. Like, it's an anime. The art style is kind of wacky, but check it out. If you're like into Batman and into anime, there's no reason to not check it out. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Batman Under the Red Hood. Yet another animated movie. I somehow put all the animated movies together. This is a lot of people's favorite animated movie. This is the story of the Red Hood, obviously. And if you don't know anything about that character, check this one out. And I'll give you a nice background into who that is. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. This movie came out, and a lot of people hated it. I really liked it. I was a big defender of this movie. Still has a lot of problems. Doomsday looks like... I don't even want to say it. But Lex Luthor's portrayal is a little iffy too, but I still think this movie is great. The Ultimate Edition adds like a half an hour. It fits right in with the whole thing. It does make the movie like 3 hours long, though. So it's a bit of a big pill to swallow, but if you haven't, please do check it out. Beauty and the Beast is another, classic Disney animated film. This movie is very good. Another one where the songs are very good. Not as memorable of songs to me as compared to something like Aladdin or The Lion King, which I don't own. I've been meaning to buy that, but I don't according to my thoughts of The Lion King. But this movie is very good. Very beautiful movie overall. The Big Sick. I believe Kumail Nanjiani won Best Writing for this movie. Him and his wife. This movie is incredibly sweet, incredibly heartwarming, very funny. If you have not seen this, this is a very good movie for like a date type movie. Very cute, very underrated movie as well. Not a lot of people have seen it or are talking about it. That's one stack down. We got a lot of stacks to go. It's half of the first shelf, and we have 5 shelves, so oh boy, we're in it now. Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Collection. This is the first 2, and then Bill and Ted Face the Music. One of my favorite movies of 2020, which, there wasn't a lot of competition that year, but hey, I think all 3 of these are about as good as each other. They all fit a very specific feeling. Very bro comedy, stuff that you don't really see anywhere else. Nothing's quite like Bill and Ted, to get to explore different time periods or different dimensions, depending on the movie you're in. Very fun. Obviously, Keanu Reeves is great. Alex Winters, I wish he was in more stuff. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I like that name because it's absolutely silly and ridiculous, just like the character of Harley Quinn. This movie is kind of forgotten about. I kind of forget this movie exists sometimes, but Harley Quinn is so great. The Birds of Prey isn't so great, but hey, this movie I think is great. Another one, best of 2020, but not a lot of competition, but it's a lot of fun. Black Panther, a lot of people's favorite MCU film. I still, it's, at its core, it's pretty typical MCU fare. It's all the flavor on top of this movie that really puts it over the top. Celebrating all the cultures and the music, and again, rest in peace, our king. he's great in this. But great stuff. I'm confused what they're gonna do for the sequel. But I say put M'Baku as king. I think that makes the most sense. Blade 2. I don't own Blade or Blade Trinity because this is the only Blade movie I really like. A lot of people like the first Blade. I think it's okay. I think this one's a ton of fun. Guillermo del Toro really took it up a notch. Blade 2 rules. Blade Runner 2049. I don't own the first one because I don't love the first one, but this one I do. This was the movie that made me truly fall in love with Denis Villeneuve. A movie we'll talk about later is one that I saw and I was very surprised by and actually made me start to enjoy his stuff. But this is the one where I was truly like, yes, I'm on Denis' side. Blinded by the Light. This is another movie that not a lot of people have seen or talk about. It's a story about a Pakistani kid who moves to Britain and feels out of place and falls in love with Bruce Springsteen's music, and that helps him through. And I love Bruce Springsteen's music, and it's a very heartwarming story that you should check out if you have not already. If you remember the film Bend It Like Beckham, same director. Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen biopic, very fun. A lot of people like to hate on this one. I don't know why. I love this movie. I saw it in IMAX the first time, loved it. Seen it multiple times on this Blu-ray, loved it ever since. I think it's great. The Live Aid performance is incredible, if for nothing else. The ending of that movie is absolutely immaculate. The Breakfast Club, classic 80s stuff. This movie gets better every time I see it. Every time I watch this movie, I relate to it more. I saw it back in early high school and didn't really care for it, but every time, this movie gets better and better. Bumblebee, the best Transformers movie. Bar none. I don't know what else to tell you. If you haven't seen this because you're burnt out on the Transformers, it's been a couple years, give it a shot. It's so much fun. It's very cute. Cabin in the Woods. Same director as Bad Times at El Royale. He's only directed 2 movies. I wish he'd make more because I love both of these. This is a really cool meta commentary on the horror genre. And if you haven't checked it out, please do. I think I say that for every movie I have. Like, check it out. This is one I know you've seen. Captain America. All 3 of them are in here. I think Civil War is the best. I think they get better as they go. A lot of people, I get it. Winter Soldier is something special. I think that Civil War is the best Captain America movie. He's my favorite Avenger, Captain America. So I got some strong opinions on that. Captain Marvel, not my favorite Avenger. Still think this movie is pretty good. I do like the 90s flair of it. A lot of people hate it a lot more than me. I don't get all the hate towards it, but it's pretty good. Chef, very cute movie, very enjoyable. The food in this is immaculate. The food scenes will make you so hungry. I still haven't had a Cubano in real life, and every time I watch this movie, I'm like, I need to get me one of them. But I live in the north, so finding a real Cubano is gonna be a bit hard for me. I'm gonna have to go on vacation or something to find one. Chronicle, one of the best in the found footage genre, superhero movie. Michael B. Jordan is in this movie. Dane DeHaan's in this movie. Good cast for what this is. Very interesting take on both of those genres. Cloverfield. Interesting that both of my found footage movies are right next to each other. This is probably the other greatest. I think these 2 are the ones that stand as the best 2 of the genre. This is like a kaiju film, and what would happen from a point of view of a kaiju movie. Very good stuff. Copland. This is a not very intense. It's kind of a slow burn type movie. Sylvester Stallone puts in a great performance in this. It's about, cops, and sometimes, cops can get bought out or they get corrupted. This movie really sits, I watched it at a very specific time, and it really sat special with me, and I think it's great. I think people should check it out, because not all people do. One great Sylvester Stallone performance to another, Creed and Creed 2. I adore Creed. Creed 2 is a pretty good follow-up to Creed. Creed is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it surpasses the Rocky movies. I think it surpasses pretty much every sports movie in existence. Creed 2, I also think is very good. It gets better every time I watch it. The first time I saw it, I think my expectations were too high. But hey, both are great. I very much look forward to Creed 3. And we have Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Unfortunately, every time I watch Deadpool, it gets a little less good. I think it has the same problem with like the 66 Batman. It's like it's so memorable that the jokes don't hit as hard because you remember them. I think that Deadpool 2, the super duper cut specifically, is a little bit better than the first Deadpool. It might be a little blasphemous to say, but I think that they are pretty equal in quality, and I think that Deadpool 2 just surpasses a little. If not, just for Cable. I love Cable in that movie. The biggest movie of 2020, Demon Slayer Mugen Train. This movie is wild. It's weird that they animated again into just the TV show factor, but this movie is still crazy. Made us all fall in love with the character. Super fast. Rengoku is one of the best characters in the entire universe. Great stuff. Detective Pikachu. I love this movie. I'm not gonna give it a perfect score or anything, but I think this movie is great. I watched it and it fulfilled all my childhood dreams. What if Pokemon came to real life? This movie gave me that. I think people are a little hard on it. Die Hard. This has the first 4, or the only 4 Die Hards to even care about. I watch the first one every year for Christmas. Sometimes I watch the second one at Christmas time. 3 and 4 I haven't checked out for a while, but absolutely. The first Die Hard is a staple. Every Christmas Eve, December 23rd, I watch that movie. Django Unchained. This is the very first steelbook I ever owned. The one I learned what a steelbook was. This movie is one of Tarantino's best movies, I think. It's either my favorite or my second favorite of his. Absolutely phenomenal Western. Doctor Strange. Second Doctor Strange just came out. Very timely on this. This is another one where it's pretty typical at its core Marvel affair. It's the flavor, the magical flavor they throw on top of this is what put this movie a little bit better than some. But at its core, it's definitely like pretty average Marvel stuff. Don John. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, at the time this movie came out, was like one of my favorite actors. He took a break for a while. He's back now, which is good. But he directed this movie. Very funny. I haven't seen it for a while, but I remember it's being very, very good. Don't Breathe has a terrible sequel that you don't need to watch. This movie is quite good, quite scary stuff. I find it very interesting, very intriguing, very cool concept. One of the few horror movies I got to see in theaters. Now we have Dragon Ball Z, Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball Z, Resurrection F, who was slipping out, and Dragon Ball Super Broly. Battle of Gods is quite good. Follow-up to Dragon Ball Z. It's been a long time since that show had been out when this came out. Resurrection F is not as good. It's like good conceptually wise, but the execution's kind of off. And then Dragon Ball Super just blows them out of the water. This is one of my favorites, period. Favorite animated, favorite movies. I love this movie. It's absolute nonsense. I've talked about it before. Saw that movie at like 2 in the morning, and it blew my mind. And it made me watch the entire show. Dread. This movie is still severely underrated and underseen. Check this out if you haven't. Not Judge Dredd from the 90s, starring Sylvester Stallone. Dread. Great movie. Absolutely check it out. Carl Urban does a great job in that. And the last for the top shelf, we have Dune. This movie looks phenomenal. Absolutely cannot wait for part 2 of this. Wow, the cast, everything. Denis Villeneuve, like I said before, I'm on his side now. So that'll do it for that one. And we're on to shelf number 2. So we're starting off with Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan's movie. Great. Absolutely great. Sound design, visually. Grumpy because it beat Baby Driver at the awards for sound stuff, but hey, what are you gonna do? Hey, the Eagle, very, very good sports movie. If another one, feel good movie of the year. I hate that kind of phrase, but it is on that one. Very good movie there. Edge of Tomorrow, or for some reason I wanted to change it to Live, Die, Repeat. Excellent Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt action sci-fi film. Check it out. A lot of these, I'm like, check it out if you haven't, because I think they're all great. Here it is, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead is campy, not on purpose, and Evil Dead 2 is campy on purpose, and you can definitely feel the difference between the two. Both are very good, though. Put Sam Raimi on the map. Bruce Campbell is the man. Now we have the Expendables trilogy. I haven't watched these in a long time. I remember the Expendables being a very good throwback 80s action movie. Expendables 2 got a little too campy, but it's still pretty good. The Expendables 3 kind of went off the rails, I feel. But honestly, for what they are, I think they're pretty good. And we're getting a fourth one, which is interesting. I'll be excited to see what they do with that. Now, this is the first big case of why the heck do you only have those two. Furious 7 and Fate of the Furious. I own the rest of these on DVD, and I plan to upgrade them eventually. 7, I honestly feel like is where the series should have ended. 8, though, I still have a lot of fun with. 9, I don't. But hey, I think 5 is the best. 5 is the best Fantastic Four movie. 5 is the best Fast and Furious. I'm losing my mind, and we're already on shelf 2. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Great classic 80s. There's the Bueller edition. I don't know what that entails, but hey, I have that one. Freaky. I feel like I like to point out when a movie came out in 2020. This is another one. Body swap slasher film. Interesting concept. I love Catherine Newton. I just have a crush on her. So, it's simple as that. So, it turns out she's also in movies I like. She's also in Detective Pikachu. But hey, that's a really fun movie. Straight up. Fight Club. If you watch this movie for how this movie's intended, I think you're in the clear. If you watch this movie and get out of it that you need to start a fight club, I don't know what to tell you. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. This is the complete edition. I don't really know what that entails either. This movie is pretty wild. It's like strange because it's an hour of just absolute confusion and boredom, and then one of the most wild fights you'll ever see between Sephiroth and Cloud. That movie's something else. Final Girls. I really wish they could have got Friday the 13th to like license himself to this movie, because this is definitely like a Friday the 13th successor. It's like a meta commentary on like what it means to be a summer camp slasher film. It's very, very good. It's surprisingly good for what it is. We have Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. Finding Nemo is probably it's one of, if not my favorite Pixar films. Finding Dory is not. It was right in that time where Pixar was like, we need to make sequels to everything. It's still cute, and it's nice seeing those characters again, but for me, it didn't need to exist. First Man, one of my favorite directors, Damien Chazelle. Not his best movie. I think it's the weakest of his 3 movies he's done, but it's still really interesting, the story of getting a man on the moon. It's been told a million times, but it's always interesting nonetheless. Flash Gordon, pure 80s cheese, so much fun. I can't, if you haven't seen it, I can't describe it to you. Just watch it. Ford versus Ferrari, probably the best dad movie of all time. Dads will love this movie. I showed it to my dad, and he loved this movie. It's great. I've caught him watching it multiple times. Friday the 13th, the 8-movie collection. This is just until Jason Takes Manhattan. I want that big old Scream Factory collection, but it's expensive, Expensive, and it's hard to justify when I already have 8 of them. I'm getting it for like 2 more. I might as well just include these two. I also have Freddy vs. Jason and Friday the 13th, the Killer Cut. This is the reboot, remake thing they did. So yeah, I own all but like 2. So, while I do love Jason X, Jason Goes to Hell is pretty trash, so I don't really know if I can justify the cost, but Freddy vs. Jason is a lot of fun. Absolutely ridiculous versus movie. And the remake is interesting for what it is. It's not, like, amazing, and it won't, like, win you over if you're not a fan of the series already, but it's pretty fun. What a jump. Every time I see these on the shelf together, I blow my mind. Frozen. Everyone's seen this movie. I like this movie. Simple as that. It's cute and fun, and the music is good, Game Night. I think I like this movie a little bit more because I have a Westie. So, seeing a Westie in a movie is always fun for me. But this is a really good comedy. People say there's not a lot of good comedies anymore. This is one of them that sticks out. It's very fun. It's also shot really well, I remember. We have Ghost in the Shell. One of the frontrunners and what people would think of as what anime is. And then we have the live-action remake. I don't really know why I own this. I remember getting it on Black Friday and being like, that was a good deal. And I haven't watched it since. But this one is the one you need, the anime one. Oh boy. Gods of Egypt. I was a big supporter of this movie when it came out. I thought it was a visual feast, and I thought it was fun, and the music was good, and I just wanted another big, dumb sword and sandals movie. And then I watched it again a couple years later, and I was like, I still like it more than most people, but I don't know what I was on the first time I saw it. It's fun, though. Oh, now we get into the big guy. I hate how these are ordered. Godzilla vs. Destroya and Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. And this one is Godzilla GMK, and Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, and Godzilla Tokyo SOS, and Godzilla Final Wars. Yeah, these are ordered like trash. And I still need Godzilla 2000, or Godzilla Millennium, however you want to say it. Oh boy, what to say about the Godzilla universe? Godzilla vs. Destroya is probably one of the best, absolutely. And then the rest of the Millennium era is just a wild up and down kind of experience. The crazy stuff. I don't own the original Godzilla 54 version because I am saving. I will get the Criterion release. I got to before it goes out of print. I'm going to be really mad at myself. And then we have the legendary Godzilla Monsterverse. We have Godzilla, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla versus Kong. The original Godzilla, I remember thinking, there's not enough Godzilla in that. But the Godzilla stuff you do get is fantastic. And I rewatched it before Godzilla Kong. I saw the same thing, but there's a lot less Godzilla than I remember in this movie. Godzilla King of the Monsters gets better the more I watch it. It's also a lot better after having seen the entire franchise. That's a tough pill to swallow, I get that. Godzilla Kong, straight up stupid fun. Absolutely enjoyable. And then we have Shin Godzilla. Oh, this movie is crazy. Directed by the guy who did Evangelion. The most horror-filled Godzilla movie, I would say. Music's great. Everything about that movie is great. Again, I did a lot. That one is in my top 5 Godzilla films, for sure. Gone Baby Gone, another Ben Affleck directed movie starring his brother Casey. This movie is very good. I don't know, the stupid clip doesn't actually clip, and it annoys me every time I pick this one up. Very good movie. That's all I can think about now is that stupid clip. Great movie. Watch that if you haven't already. Gone Girl, one of my favorite films, David Fincher films. It might be my favorite of his. Ben Affleck puts amazing performance. Rosamund Pike does amazing in this movie. Everyone in this movie is amazing. Yeah, Gone Girl. It's great. Good Burger, also great. This is definitely for nostalgic purposes. Good Burger is never going to make anyone's favorite films of all time, but I have a lot of fun with this movie. A childhood favorite, absolutely. Goodfellas. See, that's the crazy thing about how alphabetic works. You got Good Burger, Goodfellas. What can I say? It's one of the best, if not the best, mob movies of all time. You know? Good Will Hunting. Movie that makes me cry almost every time I even think about it. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck do amazing in this movie. You know, just thinking about it. I remember watching it way back and loving it and sitting on it for a long time being like, did I actually love that? Or do I just love Robin Williams that much? I watched it again recently, and yes, I do absolutely love that movie. Greatest Showman. A lot of fun. A lot of people like to dunk on this movie. I've heard a lot that the story doesn't go anywhere, and the songs are just kind of placeholders. I don't know what. I don't stand by that. I think the music is phenomenal. I think the performances are great. It's a big old musical, you know? It's just a lot of fun. Green Knight, underseen, underappreciated movie. Visually, this movie is incredible. It's a bit of a tall order to get through. It's a little slow. It's a little, like, high art. It feels that way, but it's very rewarding. It's another one. It seems strange. I just have this one. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Still need to get the first one upgraded. But I think that Volume 2 is better than the first one. And I stand by that. I've seen 2 a couple times. I really love it. I think the music, I think the characters, I think the stakes, everything is bigger and better. Hacksaw Ridge, another great war film. Andrew Garfield is great in this movie. It's very intense. It's like 2 movies. Training camp and then out on the battlefield. But it's very good. Very good World War II film. Happy Death Day. A time loop slasher. Time loop films, typically, I find to be very good. Happy Death Day is included in that bunch. Hardcore Henry. This movie is wild. It's a first-person action film. A point of view the entire time. You get to see all the action right up front. It's just put together really well. Something like this could really make your stomach turn if not done well, and it's done very, very well. Hateful Eight, another Quentin Tarantino film. I think this movie is great. It rhymes right along with that. Not my favorite of his. I think it slides right in the middle of his filmography. Hellboy, great guilty pleasure of mine. This came out a couple years ago. David Harbour, I think, was a great choice to play Hellboy. The movie around him needs a lot of work, but there are parts of this movie I will stand that are phenomenal, and I don't understand how parts like that exist next to parts that look like trash. Hercules. A lot of people forget this movie exists. I haven't seen it in a while. I really liked it when it came out. I watched it again, liked it again. But again, it's been a while since I've seen it. Dwayne Johnson's a good person to play Hercules, though. Horrible Bosses. Another really fun, more modern. I think this came out in like 2013, so I guess you can't say modern anymore. But it's still, it's a comedy. It's a little on the dirtier side, but it is good stuff. Now we have How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon 2, and How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World. This movie visually hasn't held up the best. Some of the sequences do still look great. How to Train Your Dragon 2, I think, is great as well. And How to Train Your Dragon 3 is a phenomenal ending to the... It's just together one of the best film trilogies, and you wouldn't expect it from something like this. The ending of this movie absolutely made me cry, and I will not hide that fact. It's very well put together. The music is something else. Howl's Moving Castle. Is this the first Studio Ghibli film? I guess so. The first Ghibli film I have, alphabetically. There'll be more. Some of them are in the Steelbook, some of them are not. This movie is good. It's been a long time since I've seen it, though. But saying the art style is great is, of course it is. It's like saying fire is hot. Okay. We all knew that already. So we have Hunger Games Catching Fire. I love this one. And then Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. Hunger Games, when it came out, was a big surprise to me. This also came out in 2012. I think it came out right around the Avengers, but I saw the Avengers first, and then I saw this. And this is another one that it just kind of blew my mind. It didn't have as big of an impact on me, but it did have an impact. And then Catching Fire came out, and I love this one. I still think this is one of the best. I think it's the best YA kind of film out there. And they stretched the finale into 2 parts, and they didn't have to do that. But they did that, and it kind of suffers for it, but they're both okay. Impractical Jokers is a movie. If you didn't know this about me, I love this show. I watch it all the time. When HBO Max came out and I could finally binge the entire show in one sitting, I did just that. And this show puts on a pretty good performance, and the movie is pretty good. You know, it's like an episode of the show. If you like that, the movie's not gonna win you over. In the Heights, vastly underseen musical from last year. If you have not, check this movie out. So much fun from the mind of Hamilton. And if you like Hamilton and haven't seen this movie, I don't know what you're doing, you know? There's a bit too many references to Hamilton in it, but that's an easy one to pass aside, you know? Incredibles. This is tied with Finding Nemo for my favorite Pixar film. Those are the two, neck and neck. Great stuff. I remember watching this way back. 2004. I couldn't get enough of it then. Very good now. And the last of shelf number 2, Independence Day. Great stuff. Good 90s cheese. You don't get a lot of 90s cheese, a lot of 80s stuff, but good alien invasion. This isn't high art. This is really dumb fun stuff. But it's very enjoyable. And that'll do it for shelf number 2. Shelf number 3, and as you can see, she empty. So let's go right for it. Inglourious Basterds. Another one of Tarantino's movies. To say it's also right down the middle, I think it's on the better side of good. I watched it a long time ago, and I thought it was just okay, but I watched it recently, and I thought it was great. So, it's got that going for it. Inside Out. I don't know if it's one of the best newer Pixar movies. Absolutely will make you just bawl at a certain part of that movie. If you don't, I don't know why. You want some Pixar movies, you know? Bit too hard-hearted for me. Interstellar, very good Nolan film. A lot of people like to hate on this one. It's a bit too out there a lot of the time, but I still think it's quite good. Into the Woods, this movie feels a lot more like a play than it does a movie. Just the way it's shot and the way it feels. I mean, it's based on a play, so I guess that makes sense. Music is very good. Very, very fun movie. Iron Man trilogy. Obviously, Iron Man is a staple. Iron Man 2 is not as good. A lot of people are, like, rewriting history and saying it's better. Whatever. Iron Man 3, Shane Black's take on it, I think it's pretty good. It's different. It's quite different. But still, you know, Iron Man trilogy. Good stuff. It and It's Chapter 2. This movie was a big surprise how much fun I had with this. Great performances. You know, kid actors hit and miss, but this movie nailed it. It Chapter 2 is wilder than the first one. It's really long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes if I remember right. But it's fun. It's not as good, but it's still fun. Italian Job. It's one of the very first Blu-rays I bought. This movie is a really fun heist movie. I don't like a lot of heist movies, but I had a lot of fun with this one. Very good cast. Very fun stuff. We get the John Wicks. We got John Wick Chapter 2, and John Wick 3, Parabellum. I liked the first John Wick that came out. I wasn't a massive fan, but I was very excited for the sequel, and the sequel really picked up the last one off and just ran with the full action and really gave us what we think of John Wick as today, which is just full force action. And Chapter 3 ran with that concept very well. I think this is one of the best trilogies as of now. I'm pretty sure we're getting a fourth one. But it's just, they're very tiring. They're very fun, but they make you tired with how much action is in it. Jojo Rabbit, I don't know why I own the PAL version of this. It kind of makes sense because of the subject matter. Taika Waititi's best movie by a decent margin. You know, I like his Thor stuff, but a very funny, but a very sad movie at the same time. Made me tear up on multiple occasions. I'm very happy it won the Oscars. It did. Could have won Best Picture, in my opinion. It was up against Joker, as you're seeing it's right next to it. For some reason, this is a controversial movie. It's just a good movie, I think. It's just a good, well-made, well-shot, well-paced, the whole thing. Just well-crafted film. Zero to Sunny Earth, not as well-crafted as Joker. This is another, like The Mummy, which I don't own, is just a fun Brendan Fraser adventure movie. So, if you love The Mummy and haven't seen this, give it a shot. It's not gonna wow you, I'm sure, as much as The Mummy did, but it's fun. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, a big surprise when this came out. A lot of fun. I was not expecting much from a Jumanji sequel. Well, I did love that as a kid. I haven't really had the urge to watch it again, and that's why you don't see it here. But this movie is a ton of fun. I was blown away. Didn't love the sequel as much, but that one's great. Jungle Book. This is the best live-action remake. It built on the original. It told a better story, I think. The effects they use are phenomenal. The voice cast, everything, is just so much better than what the original is. The original's still good, but, like, you know, not as good. We have Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I think these are the only two you need. A lot of people would yell at me saying The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. Why don't you have those? I don't think there's a lot of defenders of Jurassic Park 3, but The Lost World does have its defenders. The first one, you know, classic. Untoppable. I still think Jurassic World has a lot to give. It's very fun. It's like the most popcorn kind of entertainment I can ask for. It's like if Blockbuster was a genre, Jurassic World would be one of the forerunners of it. And I think that holds some water. You know, I think that's a good thing. Justice League. This is the Joss Whedon version. This is like a relic of the past at this point to me now. This is a version that I don't know if I'll ever watch again, but it's kind of neat to have here and think of. Like, oh yeah, that's the version that came out in theaters. Very different. You see how bright it is. The colors are so like bright. It kind of hurts my eyes looking at it now. It's very strange story combined with that. And we have some other Justice League stuff here. We have Justice League versus Teen Titans. This is one of the DC animated movie universe films. I love Teen Titans so much. if these two teams actually fought, I don't think it'd be much of a contest, but in the context of the movie, it kind of makes sense. But, you know, this movie is kind of fun, but it's also kind of whatever at the same time. Just like a Dark Apocalypse War is the conclusion of the universe I was just talking about, I find this movie to be incredible. Get out 2020! One of the best movies of 2020 was a straight-to-video animated superhero movie. It blew me away. I was very surprised at how much I liked that movie. Karate Kid. Just, you know, it's like Rocky, but with karate. And it you know, gave us some classic characters. I'm a big fan of Cobra Kai, the show now. The modern show based on that. Kiki's Delivery Service, another Studio Ghibli film. Very cute, very enjoyable. I like these Ghibli films that don't really focus too heavy on plot. They're just kind of hang out. We're just kind of doing our thing, and then there's a little bit of plot at the end to tie it all together. Kiki's is very, very cute and enjoyable. King of Staten Island, another 2020 release, based... you know, is it based on Pete Davidson's life? I mean, it is. I don't know if they, like, force it to be, like, fully. Pete Davidson does a great job in this. I mean, it's based on him, so it makes sense. But, yeah, very good stuff. Very surprising how much I like that movie. Kingdom of Heaven, Ridley Scott, grand epic on the Crusades. This movie, you know, is Ridley Scott working at his best. Very overlooked from him. A lot of people think, you know, Gladiator when you think of that kind of thing. But absolutely check it out if you're a fan of Scott's work. The director's cut, not the theatrical cut, the extended cut, please. Kingsman, The Secret Service, and its sequel, Kingsman, The Golden Circle. This was one of the biggest surprises of all time, I would say. In terms, I remember watching the trailers and thinking, that movie looks boring. Super duper boring, spy affair, whatever. But then I heard that there was this wild church scene with Freebird playing, and I had to watch it, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Golden Circle is not as good. A lot of people think this is way worse. I think it's right about the same level, but right in there. Unfortunately, we're getting diminishing returns of the Kingsman, because the Kingsman, as you see, I don't own. I'll try to pick that up eventually if it goes cheap enough. I didn't love. I find it enjoyable, but I didn't love it. Knives Out, fantastic whodunit film, great mystery. I very much look forward to the sequels, which we should be getting one of them this year. I hope Netflix releases them through the Criterion or whatever. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. Most of the time they don't, but I'm hoping I can own those as well if they're good. I'm not gonna want them if they're bad. Knock Knock. Very strange movie. Eli Roth directing, Keanu Reeves, Anna de Armas. This is where, she's the one up here. And his girlfriend at the time. So, this is the one where I first saw Anna de Armas, who was in Knives Out. So, neat little double feature. This movie's trash, but it's like good trash. Guilty pleasure, I guess, is the word there. Enjoyable stuff. Don't go into this, if you're going to check this out, expecting one of the best horror movies of all time. It's quite bad, but I quite enjoy it. Kong Skull Island. I think this is the best of the MonsterVerse. I know. But I love Godzilla to death, but I think Kong has the best movie in that grouping. A very fun movie. Great, like, Vietnam kind of atmosphere in that movie. La La Land, Damien Chazelle's. It's very tough. Do I love this more than Whiplash? It's very close. I do think I love this more than Whiplash. I adore this movie. My friends and family will not hear me enough that I love this movie. They're tired of hearing me talk about it, but hey, I'm here to talk about it more. Lady and the Tramp, old school Disney classic. I own this because I messed up. I'm part of the Disney Movie Club, so I get good deals every now and then. And I forgot to say no. I didn't want this. So, I own it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I should check it out again. The remake is pretty bad. The live-action remake. So, don't watch that. The Disney Plus version. Last Action Hero. A lot of people say this is still super underrated. I feel like everyone who sees this is like, this is great. I'm not seeing a lot of people nowadays who watch this for the first time saying it's bad. So, if you haven't heard of it, check it out. It's like Arnie in his prime, but he's like making fun of Arnie in his prime. It's good concept. Last Night in Soho, my favorite film of last year. Edgar Wright directing, my favorite director. Just some of the best horror. It's very rare to see a horror movie top my list, but wow, did he just nail it. The camera work, I'm shocked that Edgar Wright doesn't have more like accolades and awards. But hey, it might just be me, you know. I don't know why I have these in this order, but hey, Lego Batman movie. Very fun Batman film. Very fun Lego movie. I miss these. Make more Lego movies. We had 4, like, bang, 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 bang. And they got diminishing return, sure. But I always look forward to seeing them. And Lego Batman is, like, one of the best spin-off movies of all time, I would say. Based on the Lego movie, which is one of my favorite films of all time. So clever. So interesting. When this came out, me and my friends went and saw it as a joke. But it was just so funny. It was so well acted. The creativity on display is unmatched. The stop motion animation combined with the CG animation, it's beautiful. That movie's so good. Les Mis, classic musical. There's not much to say about it. If you haven't heard of Les Mis, I don't know what you're doing. But classic Broadway musical. This is a very good version of that. Some of the singing is a bit off, but hey. They went for something special with doing it all in camera as opposed to on a soundstage, so it's interesting. Little Mermaid, I was like, hold on, 4K. This is another interesting Disney Movie Club story. I forgot to say no to this one as well, and I was supposed to get this and Little Mermaid 2 on Blu-ray, but they messed up. They sent me 2 versions of this on 4K, so I gave them to my sister, which I don't even think she has a 4K player, but she appreciated it. Logan, one of the best conclusions to a character. Not many characters get a big swan song like this, and this is so unlike any other X-Men movie. It's still unreal to me that movie exists in the way it does. Looper, this is one of the movies that made Joseph Gordon-Levitt one of my favorite actors, and Bruce Willis at the time was absolutely also one of my favorite actors, so this movie is a no-brainer. I clearly like it. Emily Blunt, breakout performance. I think she's in other stuff, like she's like Devil Wears Prada, but I think this is one that really like shot her into stardom. Great movie. Great stuff. Big one. The Lord of the Rings. I hate that. I get it. It's the extended edition. From the side, it's a little beat up, but it looks great. And from the back, it looks fine. But I don't know why they plastered the banner on the front like that. But whatever. You know, what can you say about The Lord of the Rings? It's the best film trilogy of all time. Maybe, you know. There's very little competition up in that echelon. But absolutely phenomenal stuff. If you haven't, what are you doing? Like, watching me talk about all these movies. Go watch Lord of the Rings. It's a big commitment. You can watch the theatrical first. Then after that, get into the extended stuff. Love and Monsters came out in 2020. Very good, very enjoyable stuff. Very unexpected how much I like this movie, but it's great. Made me tear up a little bit. I cry a lot in movies, if you haven't noticed. Love, Simon, probably one of the best rom-coms ever made. I think this movie is fantastic. So well acted. It's just, I don't understand how like we don't get more rom-coms of that quality. It's just great. Luca. One of Pixar, very enjoyable. A lot of people say it's like a Ghibli film, and it kind of is, you know. It's kind of like low stakes, kind of hanging out in this town, with a little bit of a mystical element. So yeah, I see where the Ghibli comparisons come from. Very good movie, very overlooked, because, you know, Disney just likes to throw their stuff on Disney Plus, so what can you do? The Mad Max stuff, I only have The Road Warrior and Fury Road. Fury Road I've watched to death, and I still want to keep watching. This is one of the most fun movies in existence. Road Warrior is the one Mad Max movie that became more Mad Max. You watch the first Mad Max, and it's like a cop drama in like a dying world, but the world's not dead yet. So it's very, like, knowing what Mad Max is and then watching the first one, not knowing what the first movie is, it's a strange thing. Magnificent Seven. fun Western remake, obviously. It came out, stars a very good cast, but it's kind of forgotten about. I haven't thought about this movie in a while. It's very fun, though. Mallrats, I think this is the best Kevin Smith movie. Has probably the best Stan Lee cameo out of any movie, which is crazy saying that. But it is. It's very fun. Very enjoyable. If you haven't seen Kevin Smith stuff, I still think that Clerks is probably the best place to start, and then Mallrats. But Mallrats is my favorite. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., very, very underrated movie. The cast is great. I mean, Armie Hammer stuff aside, my man Henry Cavill absolutely killing it. Alicia Vikander's great in this movie. Great, great stuff. I wish we would have got a sequel to this. I do. I really wish we got a sequel to that movie. We have the Man with No Name trilogy, which is a fistful of dollars for a few dollars more, and The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, like the best trilogy of spaghetti western out there. I don't even know if there's many other trilogies in that genre, but The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, I would stand as probably my favorite western of all time. I know, hard take, right? But it is. Marriage Story. This is the only Criterion I own, because it's the only way I own this movie. Came out on Netflix, but Criterion put it out. This movie kills me in two spots in particular. I absolutely cry so hard during this movie. I'm tearing up a little bit now just thinking of it. Wow, is this movie powerful. Wow. Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver absolutely put in some of their best, if not their best work ever. The Martian. A movie I love more and more every time I see it. Ridley Scott really outdid himself here. Matt Damon on a planet, just hanging out, doing Matt Damon things. It's great. The science behind it is very interesting. Everything about this, sing its praises. Mary Poppins Returns. I don't own the first one. I wouldn't own this one if, again, I didn't forget to tell Disney no. But the movie's fun. It's not the best. I still think the original is better. But it's fun enough. Matrix Trilogy. I do plan on getting just the Matrix 4K and dumping the other two. Other three I don't own the last one. The last one's good. I like the last one. I don't like these two very much. First one's the only one I really need to rewatch. But hey, they're all here. It's a concert film. This is Metallica's S&M 2. This is Metallica in a symphony. It's a very cool concept. I like some of their other stuff better, but it's very, very fun concept. And this is another one that looks very funny by itself. I just have Mission Impossible Fallout. I do own the other 5 Mission Impossible movies on DVD, but I need to upgrade those, obviously. Might be my favorite Mission Impossible movie, which is crazy because it's the 6th one, but it is. And that'll do it for shelf number 3. Alrighty, shelf number 4. Barely you can see back there's Odin. We're almost done here, so. Moana. This is probably my favorite modern Disney film. I like Tangled a lot, and I like Frozen a lot, but nothing quite beats Moana to me. Mother. This is a wild horror movie, because it's not even a horror movie for most of it. It's just a weird movie about Jennifer Lawrence wanting people to leave her alone. But it's such a strange film, that movie. Mothra, which is the best non-Godzilla movie in that Toho universe. Very, very nice presentation. The colors, the setting, everything. Mothra is also, she's the queen. So, gotta respect the name. Mulan and Mulan 2, because for some reason it just got included. Mulan 2 is kind of trash. But the first Mulan, some of the best music. It's a pretty underrated Disney movie in my opinion. A lot of people, when talking about the 90s movies, they don't include this one. But I think it deserves to be in that conversation. Of the My Hero films, we have Two Heroes, which has this cool lenticular, and we have Heroes Rising, which has a steelbook. They finally announced the third one, so I can get that. I still haven't seen that movie yet. But I love My Hero, and these movies are good. They're good, they're non-canon, so they're just kind of for funsies, but they're enjoyable. My Neighbor Totoro. This is like the quintessential Ghibli movie. If you've never seen a Ghibli movie, this is probably the best one to start with. It's very relaxed. It's very nonchalant. This is like the classic. There's not really a plot, but there doesn't need to be. It's just very enjoyable. My Neighbors the Yadamas. Underrated Ghibli film. A lot of people don't think of this one when they think of Ghibli, but I think it's very enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. 3 Ghiblis in a row. What can you do? Technically, this isn't a Ghibli film, though. This is just a Miyazaki film, but it kind of gets included because why wouldn't it? But very interesting sci-fi stuff here. Not my favorites. I need to rewatch it, but very good nonetheless. The Nice Guys, a very underrated movie from 2016. Check this out if you haven't already. It's like a throwback 70s buddy cop movie. It's very enjoyable. Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. Who would have thought those two guys could get together that well? But they do. They very much do. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This might sound out there, but I think this might be my favorite Tarantino movie. It's either this or Django, like I said earlier. I just have so much fun watching this. Another hangout type movie. We're just chilling in 60s Hollywood, the golden age, and then eventually a plot kind of forms. But it's so much good. It's so good. Overlord. It's Nazi zombies. You know, very good Nazi zombie movie though. Very surprising how good that movie actually was. Wasn't expecting much from it. Pacific Rim, which is another lenticular. I think this might be the very first Blu-ray I ever owned. Because I really wanted to see this movie, and I couldn't find a DVD of it, so I just bought the Blu-ray and watched the DVD on that. This movie is a hoot. I have a ton of fun watching this. It's very Japanese-inspired, obviously. Guillermo del Toro directing. Great stuff. Pain and Gain, Michael Bay. It's out there. I have fun watching this. It's kind of, not great thinking of this as a real life story. It'd be more fun if this movie was just out of someone's brain and not off the news, but for what it is, it's enjoyable. Passengers. I've heard a lot of criticism levied at this that if certain parts of this were told in a different order, it'd be better, and I agree. But I still think this movie is very sleek. It's very enjoyable. I love both lead actors in this, and absolutely. And it's very... when I say underrated, I typically mean underseen. This one's legitimately underrated. I think it's really good. And a lot of people don't agree with me, but that's okay. The Peanuts movie. This movie is so cute. It's so good. It had no right being as good as it is. I love the art style. I love when, 3D animators make it look 2D, because 2D animation, unfortunately, is kind of dead outside of certain countries, but this movie looks and feels like how Peanuts should, and that's very good. Pinocchio. This was the other part I got with Lady and the Tramp. I got Lady and the Tramp and Pinocchio. So I own both of these. This movie is kind of terrifying for a child. I haven't seen it since I was a child, though. So maybe I'll find it scarier. Who knows? The donkey scene is... Oh, boy. Just thinking about it. Why is this... why they're, stuck together. Why is that? Oh, there's, a sticker residue. I hate that. I hate the sticker residue. Anyway, I kind of spoiled it. We got Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and then War for the Planet of the Apes. I think these two should have their names switched, but it's too late for that. One of the best modern film trilogies, unexpectedly. When Rise came out, not a lot of people were expecting much, but it ended up being really good. Dawn came out, blew everyone's minds. War came out, was a little different than we were expecting. We're expecting war, and we got kind of war prisoners of the Planet of the Apes. But hey, that's part of War 2, unfortunately. But absolutely one of the best trilogies going. We had some Pokemon. Pokemon the first movie, 2003. 3 is my favorite by far. These two, as movies, I could take or leave. As nostalgic memories, they're good to have here. I also own Pokemon the movie I Choose You. When I first saw this movie, I loved it. I adored it. It hit every nostalgic beat I needed it to. And I just thought it really was almost perfect. Except for that weird thing with Pikachu. It was almost perfect. I watched it again, and I didn't love it quite as much. The nostalgic beats that really shine through the first time do hit again. But, unfortunately, it's not as good on a second watch. Ponyo. This might be the first Ghibli film I watched, kind of knowing what it was. It was very interesting. Unfortunately, it was right after Japan got hit with the tsunami, so it kind of hit weird, because this movie has a big flood in it that floods Japan, so It sat a little weird with me, but hey, the movie's still great regardless. Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. Again, people say there's no good comedies anymore, and yet no one went and saw this. Check this out if you haven't already. I still think it's one of the funniest movies ever made. Porco Rosso. This is like a weird spot in the Ghibli category, because some people put it in like the top echelon, some people put it right in the middle. I think this movie is fantastic. It's one of my favorites. Hayao Miyazaki loves his flying machines, and you can really see it in that. Power Rangers, 2016 version. This movie's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's simple as that. It's Power Rangers going full-on Power Rangers, you know? This is a lot of fun. My brain's going wild. I still got a shelf and a half to go. Here we go, baby. Predator. What a great 80s action movie. I almost said Stallone. It's a Schwarzenegger film, but it doesn't feel like a Schwarzenegger film. It feels like a monster movie. That's what makes it great. It doesn't just need to bank on its main actor. More Ghibli. We got Princess Mononoke. This is like the darkest Studio Ghibli film. It goes full on like nature versus man, and it's very heavy. But I still think a kid could enjoy it. But it is a pretty heavy movie. Prisoners. This is the movie that made me go, hey, Denis Villeneuve was actually something special. And for a long time, I was like, I don't really know about him. I think he's overrated. But this is the movie that made me like question and maybe go, you know what? No, he's pretty good. Promare. This has one of the brightest, sickly sweet art styles I've ever seen. This is pure chaos from minute 1 through however long it is, minute 120, somewhere around there. Wow, what a time. Prometheus. Like I said way back in the A's when I was talking about Alien, here's Prometheus. I think this movie is quite good, and I wish that we would get more Alien movies. I'm sure that Ridley's working on it, but something more like Prometheus. The sequel to Prometheus didn't really work for me all that much. A Quiet Place. Very good monster horror. Very interesting concept. I really like this movie. I really like the sequel as well. I don't own it yet, but very good stuff. Ready or Not. Very underseen, underappreciated movie. This was one of the most fun times I had watching a movie the year it came out. This came out like 2019, so that was a really good year for movies. Watch this if you haven't. This is another one I will recommend to you full-heartedly. If you're a fan of horror, watch Ready or Not. Ready Player One. I'm a big fan of pop culture and references, and so watching this, it kind of appealed right to me. A lot of people like to say it gets a little overhanded with all the references, but it really doesn't. It does tell its own story, hidden within a million references. Fun stuff. Another guilty pleasure, Robin Hood, starring Taron Egerton. A lot of fun to be had here. It's not very good, but I had fun. I had a lot of fun watching it. A lot of people say it's like one of the worst movies. I don't think it's that bad, but it's fun. Another one you could say guilty pleasure, I think this movie is legitimately good. Rock of Ages. Very out there jukebox comedy about 80s rock. Very fun. Tom Cruise puts a heck of a performance in that movie. The Rocky movies. Rocky 1 all the way through Balboa. So we have 6 movies in here. It's classic storytelling. The reason Rocky won Best Picture puts Stallone on the map. Just great stuff. I think 2 is a little worse than 1. I think 3 and 4 are kind of their own thing. I really enjoy them for that. I think 5 is pretty forgettable. And then Balboa ties it up well. Until we got Creed, anyway. Rush. I'm not a huge fan of racing, but this is a pretty good movie about racing. So, there's that going for it. It's great on a first watch. It's not as great on a second watch, unfortunately. But that first time through, it's really great. Here's an interesting one. Sad Hill Unearthed is probably my favorite documentary. I don't own many, if any more than this one. But, I had to get this one through their GoFundMe or Patreon or whatever it was. And they sent me this, and they sent me a poster that they signed, the director signed. So that was very nice of them. Very good movie about them working on the grave site from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So check that out if you haven't. You gotta watch them anyway to fully get the context. But if you haven't, watch both. Very good stuff. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Another Edgar Wright film, another Edgar Wright win. I love this movie. I've shown it to plenty of my friends. Vastly underseen when it came out, but it is one of the best cult classics of the modern times. Searching, another underseen movie. It's like a found footage, but it's like told completely on screens, whether that's, security cameras or television screens or computer screens, iPad screens, whatever. It's told completely through screens. It's about a guy looking for his daughter, and it's very intense at parts. The Shallows, probably the best modern shark movie. It's just a legitimately good movie, and then it also happened to be a shark movie. I know I passed through J without saying Jaws. I own that on DVD. I really gotta upgrade that one, but Shallows is legitimately good. If you want to watch a shark movie and haven't seen The Shallows, that's the way to go. I mean, if you have seen Jaws, obviously. Shang-Chi, the best of Phase 4 from Marvel. Is it? Spider-Man's really good too. I don't own that one yet, but for a long time, for a while anyways, this was the best one. Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. Very good stuff. A good shark movie to a bad, we have Sharknado 1, 2, and 3. These movies are absolute garbage, but boy do I have fun watching them. I have to get 4, 5, and 6. I don't know why I don't, but those movies, I really look forward every year to watching those. Those are some great stuff. Shawshank Redemption. I love that this can sit right next to Sharknado, because this movie, IMDb says it's the greatest movie of all time, and it's up there. Shazam, very fun comic book movie set during Christmas time. Very good holiday movie in that respect. The Shining, one of the best horror movies of all time. Stanley Kubrick really, really outdone himself here. The Shrek 4 movie collection. First Shrek, classic. Shrek 2 is beyond a classic. I think that movie outdoes everything in the first one. Shrek the Third, nostalgic wise, I think it's good. I haven't seen it in a long time. It's been getting a lot of heat recently, so it might not be very good, but I remember it being very good. And then Shrek Forever After, I think is not good, but it exists. A Silent Voice. Wow, does this movie really tug on my heartstrings? This is a very intensely sad movie, but it is so rewarding to get through. And I've only seen it once because of that, but I know when I watch it again, I will absolutely cry my eyes out once again. A Simple Favor, another underseen movie. 2 great lead actresses in it. Very interesting plot and story. Check it out if you haven't. I walked in with no expectations, and I walked out being very pleasantly surprised. We have Sin City and Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. I think the style and substance of Sin City is some of the best stuff I've ever seen. And for a while, I would say Dame to Kill For is right up there with it, but it's been a long time since I've seen these, so I need to rewatch them. Snowpiercer, the very first Bong Joon-ho film I saw, because I'm American, so he makes a film in English, and I'll check it out. Wow, was I surprised, though. I walked into this one, no expectations as well, and I walked out so happy with how good it is. Southpaw, a very good underrated boxing movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal. It's very good. Title performance is a bit on the bad side, but hey, what can you do? Oh, here's my I do own another documentary. I own The Sparks Brothers by Edgar Wright. Obviously, love Edgar Wright. Sparks Brothers is a band I'd never heard of before this documentary, and while I'm not a massive fan of their musical styles, they go through like every genre, but some of the songs are quite good, and you should watch this if you haven't. You might find a new favorite band. Speed. You say, it's Die Hard on a Bus, but starring Keanu Reeves, and it's great. We get through some Spider-Mans. We have Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. I will get No Way Home soon. I do own the Spider-Man's Andrew Garfield and the Tobey Maguire's on DVD. I need to upgrade those. But these are both good. They're very different Spider-Man stories. I get the criticism that they don't really feel like Spider-Man because they're kind of Iron Man Jr., but I still really enjoy them for what they are. Spider-Man with the Spider-Verse, though, if I only had to have one Spider-Man movie, this is it. What a movie. So much fun. I really look forward to the sequels to that. Spirited Away. Probably the most famous, if not Totoro, famous Ghibli film. Absolutely, absolutely great stuff here. If you haven't seen it, it's just the most magical. It sweeps you away to a different world. It's something really special. A Star is Born. I wasn't expecting much when I saw this movie. I expected somewhat decent performances and Bradley Cooper directing. I really was interested to see how he would perform, and he blew me away with how good he could sing as well. His directing was quite good. Lady Gaga surprised me with how good acting she could do. And I remember seeing this. I must have went to some kind of special screening because the theater had the speakers turned up so loud. And I had just come from an IMAX screening, and the speakers of A Star is Born blew it out of the water. The whole place was shaking. It was unreal. Star Trek Beyond. I do own the other two of the Star Trek trilogy. This Star Trek trilogy, because I really enjoy it. This is my favorite of those, though. So, it makes sense. If I did own one, it would be this one. But I do own the other ones on DVD. I just have to upgrade them. Now we're getting to some Star Wars, and this is really where it shows that I own the first 6 on DVD and need to upgrade them. But I have Solo, not my favorite, but still interesting. Rogue One, gets better as it goes along, but I'll tell you what, that Darth Vader scene, something else. And then of course we have, Force Awakens, absolutely love this one. Last Jedi, controversial, but I still really like that one as well. And then Rise of Skywalker, I like a little bit less. I think they diminishing returns a little bit as they go on, but I still really enjoy it. It has its problems, but it's still really good. Now we're on to the final shelf. Alrighty, final shelf. Let's get excited. Final stretch. This is the shortest section because my bottom shelf also hosts my Wii U collection. So, this is the shortest section. Anyways, here we go. Starting off with Street Fighter 2, the animated film. This movie is kind of crazy. I don't know how it even got on Blu-ray, but here it is. One of the best video game movies out there. Very fun, very enjoyable. We have Suicide Squad, this extended cut. I'm going to be real with you, I have not watched this since 2016 when I saw it in theaters and really liked it, but I have not watched it since. I don't know how. It's got a lot of order. Oh no. But The Suicide Squad, I have seen again and again. This movie, the difference in quality between the two is unreal. It's so crazy that they have the same name, have some of the same characters, and the characters can be that different from each other. I think we fixed the order. For some reason, things are a little out of order. So if they're a little out of alphabetical order, we'll be okay. Take Me Home Tonight. I saw this way back, and I found this really cheap and haven't watched it again, but I really enjoyed it when I saw it, and I look forward to being able to watch it again. Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Another Ghibli film that doesn't really feel like a Ghibli film, but the art style is so beautiful. Like the watercolor art. Wow, does this movie really shine and really show what good animation can look like. Tarzan, very fun. Another one of the 90s animated Disney stuff. Great music. People love the music in this, me included. Tarzan's such a fun movie. Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. It's another one of the DC animated movie universe films. This is probably, as opposed to Apocalypse War, my favorites. Might just because of the characters, might just because of the story it's telling, but I think it's great. While talking about the Teen Titans, now would be a good time to talk about my TV stuff, because I also own all the Teen Titans on Blu-ray. This includes the Trouble in Tokyo movie. And because we were well past the G's, I can also mention I do own all of Game of Thrones. I just brought the first season over, because I feel like you guys can get the gist. Why did I just own the first season? I own all 8 seasons, so you can believe me. I just didn't want to bring them all over here. Yes, Teen Titans Go. Legitimately great movie. So much fun. Very funny. We also have Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, which is If this is the last we see of the original Teen Titans cartoon, I'm going to be a little sad. But at least we got something, you know. At least we got a little bit more. We were never guaranteed anything. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows. I watched this when it came out. Had a lot of fun with it. I haven't seen it since, but very fun. These Michael Bay turtles, you know, they look a little strange, but that's a fun movie. I have Terminator Genesis, Terminator, and Terminator 2. Terminator franchise. I loved Genesis when I first saw it. I haven't seen it, but in bits and pieces, and I was like, what was I thinking? But I still think it's better than people give credit for. But obviously, like Terminator, Terminator 2, probably the only two you need. But hey, you know, Genesis includes the original, so that works out pretty well for me. We have the Thor 3-movie collection. The wildest shift in tone in the MCU. The first Thor being a weird little rom-com, you know, fish out of water rom-com, and then Thor 2 being like a kind of bland movie about dark elves, and then Ragnarok being a wacky romp. You know, indescribable weird stuff happens in that movie. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Very good drama. A very heavy movie at times. Very enjoyable. I believe this is what Frances McDormand won one of her Academy Awards for, and very well deserved. Very good cast all the way through. We have the 3 Flavors Cornetto trilogy. So that's why they're here in the tease. It includes, they're backwards, but Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. I still think that Shaun of the Dead is probably the best of the 3. Hot Fuzz is a movie that's grown on me tremendously over the years, and then World's End is legitimately great as well. That's the one people like to toss under the rug saying it's the worst, but I disagree. I think that it's very good and deserves to be among them. Tomb Raider, very good video game movie that a lot of people kind of forget happened. Alicia Vikander's a great choice to play Lara Croft. Very good casting. Tombstone, very good Western. Very enjoyable, great cast. Very good. As simple as that. The Town, another Ben Affleck directed movie. One of the best heists, if this might be the best heist movie I've ever seen. Set in Boston, a city I know decently well. So, it's very good. Very, very good stuff. Uncut Gems, which has this gross sticker residue. I don't know how to get rid of that. I ate some Goo Gone or something. But wow, is this movie something different. If you watch this expecting a typical Adam Sandler movie, boy, were you surprised. Adam Sandler can put in a good performance. I've seen it before, so I was expecting that. But this movie is something else. It's very good. It's very fast-paced, very intense the whole way through. We have a double feature pack of movies that don't sit next to each other very well. We have Unforgiven and The Outlawed Josie Wales. Unforgiven is the better than movie. That's why I have it here. And plus, it's on top. So, I think Outlawed Josie Wales just kind of came as a bonus, in my opinion. Because it's not as good as Unforgiven is. But it's still good in its own right. It's not bad. Us. A sometimes tremendously scary movie, sometimes tremendously goofy movie. I don't know why I don't own Get Out. I need to get that at some point. But Us really cemented Jordan Peele as one of my favorite directors. He only made 2. But he's made 2 great ones. Venom. I don't want to Let There Be Carnage yet. I don't love these movies. I think they're pretty good. But I'm not like desperate to rewatch them a lot. But they're fun. Tom Hardy is great as both Eddie Brock and Venom in those movies. The Walk. Very underseen, underrated movie about the guy who tightrope walked between the 2 towers. Very good. Very, I don't know how to describe it. It's just very inspirational, I guess. The feel-good movie of the year, you could say. It's just very good. Warrior. Another Tom Hardy movie. This movie is very intense. Some of the best sports action you'll see. A very visceral, intense fighting sequences in that movie. Very heartwarming, too. Very, very nice movie. Weathering with You. Makoto Shinkai, who directed one of my favorite movies, which we're almost there. This movie isn't quite as good as that one, but it's still absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, and I love looking at it. So, Wedding Crashers, you know, you say classic comedy at this point, you know, mid-2000s comedy. I don't love it as much as some, but I still think it's quite fun. Now, Wet Hot American Summer, on the other hand, I do love. I will champion this movie forever. If you have not seen this movie or don't know what it is, please go watch it. This might be the funniest movie I've ever seen. I know I said that about Popstar, but hey, Wet Hot is something else. Damien Chazelle's first movie, Whiplash, immediately shot to one of my favorite directors. I love this movie. You didn't know I also play the drums, not nearly as well as this guy does, but wow, what a movie. What a movie. Between that and La La Land, it just cemented. He can make nothing but garbage for the rest of his career, and I'd be like, hey, but those first two. The Wind Rises is beat to all heck. I don't know what. I got this through the Disney Movie Club, which is interesting, because I don't know if the Ghibli films are on there anymore. But Miyazaki's supposed last movie, but we're getting another one, so that's good. This movie is quite good. It has the director, why am I blank? Hideaki Anno, who made Shin Godzilla, as I mentioned earlier, and Evangelion. He voices the main actor. He's the main actor in that movie. That's kind of interesting. The Wizard, not a very good movie, but it's a good 80s romp, nice adventure. This is the movie that unveiled Super Mario Bros. 3 to the world, so that's kind of cool. So that's why I love the art on that. Shout did a really good design for that movie. When Marnie Was There, another kind of middle of the road Ghibli film, but saying that means it's a pretty good movie nonetheless. Very enjoyable. I love the twist. I don't love it when I have to explain the twist to me. Werewolves Within, another great video game adaptation. I say that a lot. I like to get these because I like to support when video game adaptations are good. Another great movie from last year that I recommended then, and I'll recommend now. See if you haven't. The Wolf of Wall Street. This movie is great. I don't love it as much as some, but this movie is great. Leo does an absolute great job in that movie. Wonder Woman, huge surprise when this came out. The DC was, they were doing their thing, but I wasn't expecting something of this high level, and I'm so glad it did, because Wonder Woman is a character that deserves that kind of high level, and I'm so glad her first movie, not necessarily her second, but her first movie really showcased that. The original X-Men trilogy, I haven't seen these for a long time. The first X-Men introduces the world to who these characters are, gave us Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Obviously, everyone knows Hugh Jackman's Wolverine at this point. But hey, X2 is a little better, and then X3 isn't as good, but they're all fun. They're all enjoyable. Early 2000s comic book. First Class I own on DVD, so I need to upgrade that. But Days of Future Past, I have the Rogue cut here. This movie is so good, and I need to rewatch it, because every time I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I love that movie. Why don't I rewatch that? Because I think it's the best X-Men movie. I think it might be better than Logan, but hey, that's a discussion for another time. X-Men Apocalypse isn't as good as those movies are. It's still a lot of fun. Comes in this weird silver Blu-ray case, which I'm always like, why did it has a nice X on it, so it's clearly like designed for it, but it just looks weird. I don't know why it does, but it just looks a little strange. Fun, not nearly as good. Mine's has a weird gash in it, so it shines the rainbow through. And then we get more diminishing returns with X-Men Dark Phoenix. Yeah, I like this movie. Not everyone does. If you don't, that's understandable. Your Name, the other Makoto Shinkai film I was talking about loading with you. I love this movie. If you're looking for a great romance, watch this. Yeah, there are some cultural barriers, but wow, if you give it a chance, it'll surprise you. Here's the real Justice League with Zack Snyder's Justice League. I have it in the Z because, that's what it's called. I was thinking about putting it with the J's, but I'm like, it deserves to be like in its own spot. It doesn't need to feed off the original. What an increase in quality. What a huge bump. Just a straight up huge quality. I keep saying quality. Huge increase in length, dude. Just doubles the length. It's a very long movie, but a very, very good one. And then we have our last but not least, Zombieland. Really fun zombie movie. Everyone knows Zombieland. It's so much fun. I give it a sequel, because the sequel is also great. But wow, what a good time I had with this movie. And that'll do it. That is all of my Blu-rays. Every single one of them. Including the TV shows, which is a fun little thing. I don't collect a lot of TV because I don't watch enough TV to warrant owning. But I own 2 of my favorite shows. I'm really stumbling here at the end. Thank you so very, very much for watching. If you made it this far, wow, I cannot thank you enough. As always, like this if you like this, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at some point.